Welcome to Paradigms at paradigms.life, the radio show and podcast that brings you inspiring people with visions of a viable future for life on Earth that includes humans. Hi, I'm Baruch, host of Paradigms. Thanks for listening to yet another episode. We've got a great guest, a returning guest. He's a musician, jazz drummer, composer, band leader, and he's got a new record out that's really very enjoyable and that poses some interesting questions. So let's get right to it and meet my guest on this episode of Paradigms. Giuseppe Paradiso, welcome back to Paradigms.
Thank you so much.
It's really great to see you and talk with you. And yes, we've just been through this 2 years since we last spoke. And what has happened in those 2 years?
Exactly. What an experience.
Yes,
what
definitely.
An experience.
Oh my gosh. Well, first, before we get into this incredible new record, which is really, really good, I've been enjoying it a lot.
Oh, thank you so much.
I just want to know how you're doing and how it's been for you the last couple of years. How have you been getting by and what's it been like?
Absolutely. Well, since the last time I was on your show, as we were saying, so much has happened, not only in my life, in the world, for everybody. I'm sure many people have been in the same situation that I've been. But luckily, I've been able to still keep making music, which is a blessing. And probably the reason why I'm still sane. So since the pandemic started, in reality, I was lucky to get some funding for a new record, which is actually parallel the dimensions we're talking today, which is actually really the reason that kept me sane for real, because all of my concerts actually, on February 2020, we launched a new album, Metropolitan Sketches. And so we were able to play only the release show on February 13. And after that, all of our programs, tour, everything got canceled. So we weren't even able to have a proper album launch. But the good thing about the only show that we had was a wonderful concert. We sold a lot of CDs. Actually, somebody was so impressively kind to buy the whole box of CD and offer one CD for each person in the audience, which was something that I've never seen in my life. And so we had only one live show in person, but it was amazing. And so during the pandemic, I've been busy writing this new album, thanks to the Boston Foundation, which they granted me with this Live Arts Boston grant in 2020. I received also a grant from the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture in the city of Boston, who are also supporters for this album, and other sponsors, Robert Davoli and Eileen McDonald, the Loop Lab, the record company in Boston. Their support was incredibly helpful in such a time in history. So I was very grateful for that opportunity in 2020 and 2021, because thanks to their support, I was able to still keep writing music, work on a music project. In terms of performance, as probably you may know, it's been a bit slow, and luckily now things are starting to move again. Concerts, everybody's ready to go out and enjoy live music again, feel that energy, feel that adrenaline on the stage, off the stage. So gradually things are getting back, and hopefully they will get back, because apparently we're still in the middle of a lot of cases around the world, and so we'll see what happens.
Wow. Well, how really great that you had that support to make the new record. That's great, because a lot of folks were just sort of sitting there going, now what? You know, the shows are
Absolutely.
canceled. even recording was difficult because of the social distancing. And so a lot of people did all their recordings remotely and then put it together, which works and is great, but it's not the same as being in a room with people playing. So
Exactly.
So I'm so glad. That one show must have been amazing, but now time for more.
Exactly. So you were asking how things have been over the pandemic. I feel for a lot of artists, it's been also a chance to sit down and get a chance to get things done that in other times you wouldn't be able because you are doing another 3,000 things. So that really gave me an opportunity to work on a lot of projects that I've had in my drawer for a long time, such as like get more familiar with electronics and new technologies in music, write some more music, study a lot, and spend time with myself. I'm a thinker, and I like to sit down and think about things and study, and so that also gave me an opportunity to work on some more projects.
It did give all of us in the world a chance to stop, which I think we needed. Because then most people just got going again, but it was at least a moment where we saw that we could stop and we could look at things differently. I mean, as I said, we've returned pretty much to the status quo, but now we know we don't have to. That is the first part of my conversation with Giuseppe Paradiso. We're talking about his new record, Parallel Dimensions, with his Meridian 71 project. Let's hear some of the music now. Here is the title track from the new record, Parallel Dimensions, Giuseppe Paradiso and Meridian 71, on Paradigms at paradigms.life. That's Giuseppe Paradiso and Meridian 71 with the title track of their new record, Parallel Dimensions. Here's the next part of my conversation with Giuseppe Paradiso. Let's talk about Parallel Dimensions, because it's really, I've been listening to it, I've been enjoying it very much. It's got great energy. It's got a lot of different kinds of stuff going on. Tell me about your process and the thoughts with these pieces, because each one is something that came out of you.
So this album, it has a lot of styles, a lot of different things in it, as you were saying. So first of all, Parallel Dimensions, the name of the album came basically from this idea that I've had in my mind for a while, which actually developed even more during the pandemic. So basically, I've had in mind this concept when something happened, like an experience in a given moment, in a given place, different people give very different interpretations of the same event. And so that made me think that in reality, we all live in some sort of parallel realities sometimes, which is actually like even experiencing the same event, but there are so many different interpretations of that event. And that actually made me really develop this idea that we live in parallel dimensions sometimes. And also that can happen, like it's been in quite a few experiences in my life where the same event is interpreted very differently from different people, and sometimes it's based on equivocacy. So that made me think, wow, how strange that is, that one event can be experienced in so many different ways from different people. So looking at what's going on in the world, also, people have so many different experiences of life. There's people who enjoy so much. There's people who struggle so much. There's so much going on in this world, and really like inspired me like in trying to capture these parallel dimensions in the world. So that's like one interpretation of this album title. But also, like on the other hand, my experience as an immigrant. So there's so many parallel things, starting from the time zone. I'm chatting with my family. My family is in a different time of the day. So there's so many different things going on at the same time. So the music in the album is also like, so there's so much variety also to try to capture these different things going on at the same time. And there's some elements from Puglia, where I come from. For example, in the piece Gioriki, there's some other things that come from West Africa, other things that come from the jazz music. So I wanted to trying to capture with my experience, my personal experience, all of these different parallel dimensions that I experienced, at least myself in my life.
It's a very important concept, actually, for humans to acknowledge that we all experience things in our own way, even the very same events. I mean, at any point, we can look at the world and see where lack of understanding of that creates problems. Mm-hmm. And this is certainly a moment for that whenever there's conflict or violence. Well, that's because people are not actually harmonizing or aligning or acknowledging the difference without it having to be in opposition. I mean, it's also just a very simple concept. You hang out with your friends, you go to a movie, one person comes out and says, I loved it. One person comes out and says, I hated it. And they saw the same movie, but they had different experiences of it. So it's actually in our relationships, in the way we are in the world, a very important idea.
I agree.
So putting it into music then, it makes me want to sit down with this and listen to it with people and then talk about the different ways we experience it.
That is another beauty, in my opinion, of compositions and music, and in general, like art. I feel that the composer, yes, has an idea, like an inspiration, writing that music, but to me, it's also fascinating to hear what effect and interpretation other people have with a music that they wrote with this idea. So I think that that's the power of and the beauty of music. I personally, I'm the composer of that music, but once you publish it, I don't want to be in control anymore. That is something that you put out in the atmosphere, and it's out there for everybody to interpret it, and trying to inspire people with that music that you put out.
Giuseppe's telling us a bit about the songs now. Here's Geizen from the new record Parallel Dimensions. That's Geizen by Giuseppe Paradiso and Meridian 71 from the new record, Parallel Dimensions. Here is the next part of my conversation with Giuseppe Paradiso. You're listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life. Tell me about the pieces on this record. There's 6 of them. Where do they come from, and what do they mean to you?
Absolutely. So first of all, the album opens with Geizen, which is a composition based on this groove in 5/8. It's an odd time signature groove. I do have like a natural predisposition to odd time signature meters, which I discovered over the past 7 or 8 years by playing with Turkish people, especially with friends of mine, Utar Artun, our pianist. I've never really studied much of odd time signatures, and it felt something so natural to me. That's something that you find in a lot of cultures, like in Turkish music, in the Balkans music. The reason why I feel it so natural, which is something that I discovered in the recent years, is because my mom's side is from the Romani tradition, where they actually have a lot of odd time signatures. And I don't know, it's magic. It's another thing that is magic. For some reasons, it's still in my blood, and it feels so natural to me. So that composition is in a odd time signature. It's a composition, in fact, that makes me feel like my roots. In fact, it opens with the Mediterranean chant. Geizen, the title, means, actually, I was just reading of that. I was taking notes when I composed that piece. It's a piece that I composed early in 2020. It's a Zen word. It's a Japanese Zen word.
Kaizen.
Geizen, yes. And the meaning is constant and never-ending improvement and self-mastery and constant enrichment of the mind, body, and soul. So when I learned this word, it really inspired me to sit down and focus on this piece. It basically opens with this melody leading into a trading solo between keyboards and guitar, with Phil Sargent on guitar and Utar Artun on keyboards. 2 amazing virtuoso musicians, incredible human beings. From this section, then we go into percussion and drums break with my brother from Senegal, Malin Gom, with whom we've been playing a lot of music together. And we go back to the melody into a coda that opens up to a sax solo of Mark Zaleski. It's a very rocking piece in the album. It's probably the hardest piece, I would say, that leads into Memories of the Future, the second track of the album, which is a track that I started to write in the early stages of the pandemic, April 2020. And there was a time where I was feeling bombarded on a daily basis by news and so much information, so much to talk about, so much going on in the world. Everything felt that it was about to fall apart, everything. And so, well, there was happening actually on the outside world, and also into my personal life. There were so many events going on, from bad events to very positive events. And so, like, I was feeling with all of this information in my mind, all of this news constantly. And there was a moment that I wanted to capture somehow in music. I feel that I'm a person really horrible with words, and I try to explain and express my emotions through sound. And so there was a moment that I didn't even know how to explain in words. And I was thinking, I need to capture this moment with sounds, with art. I feel that what I need in this moment is just art, feel into the art fully. And so when I was composing that piece, I was imagining myself more than a composer being a painter. And so like I was in my studio and I was really pretending to be a painter, but like sitting on my piano. And so like every chord I would put, every note, every melody that I would write, well, I was trying to imagine it as like a brush on a canvas. And so that piece came out pretty much in this way. And the central part where there's electronics, there's radio, talk, and things like that. So that is like the peak of the composition, where you basically pass from this, calm and serenity, like kind of classical music playing, to a lot of tensions given by information and news and so pretty much, yeah, that's the concept behind Memories of the Future, which is a piece that I really feel inside of me. I feel it so intimate in a way that I also feel when you talk about like such an intimate part of your life.
We'll be back with more of my conversation with Giuseppe Paradiso. First, here is another track from Parallel Dimensions. This is Memories of the Future.
humanity to gather in one place for the liberation and
Memories of the Future, Giuseppe Paradiso and Meridian 71, from their new record, Parallel Dimensions. And now here is the next part of my conversation with Giuseppe Paradiso. And then the next one, it's only the beginning.
Okay, so
in the middle of the album.
Yes, exactly. That's the fourth track. It's only the beginning. And so this is a composition that I was inspired and dedicated to my wife, Ana Paula Lopez. It's a piece that came in a very challenging time because we were living in two different countries for 2 years and a half. And so like our beginning has been very, very difficult in the sense that we went through a lot of experiences and challenges to be together. That finally everything got solved. We are together. We've been apart like in two different countries also over the pandemic. And so it's a piece that basically like it's only the beginning. It was the first phase of our beginning. It's another intimate piece, very intimate.
It's all very personal.
Absolutely. Like I really feel that this album is based on my personal experience, that there are so many emotions in it and so many personal stories. And going to the fifth track, Parallel Dimensions, it's actually the album title track, which we already chatted a little bit. I wanted to capture these parallel realities that people live in. And so this, I would say, it's a piece that has been inspired mainly like from a jazz tradition, pretty much, more than the other pieces which are closer to the world music field. And then we finish the album with Tony, which is a piece that is inspired and dedicated to Tony Allen. For those who don't know who Tony Allen was one of the creators of the Afrobeat. He was the drummer for Fela Kuti for most of his time. And he was based in Paris, France. He was also a band leader who has published a lot of records under his own name, and died, I believe he died in 2020 or 2021. I can't remember exactly on top of my head. When I heard the news, he was one of my inspirations too in terms of Afrobeat. I love Afrobeat music. I love African music in general. I've always found a lot of inspiration from African music. I've been lucky to play with a lot of African people who taught me a lot of things, who really taught me to groove in a way. Like the most basic thing for a drummer is to know how to play a groove. If you can play a groove, you can play like all of these virtuosistic things, but they're useless. Like you can't do anything with it. And so when I heard the news, I've always wanted to write something inspired by his beat, and so like that was a perfect moment. We were also during the pandemic. I was spending a lot of time in home, and I was trying different ideas. So Tony is a piece inspired by and dedicated to Tony Allen.
It's a really great collection. And as you say, it's very personal. And the thing is, when you get categorized as jazz, and fusion probably most of the time, right? And so people don't think of that as being intimate, personal story. They think of it as mental and traveling, but it's very personal. And I think part of the message there is we communicate our deepest inspirations in all manner of ways. And again, it's that thing about here's what we think, and then you let go and you let the magic happen and it comes. So I think sometimes people feel constrained to share the personal. Mm-hmm. Maybe they don't know how, or they don't feel they have a medium for it. And so in a way, I think part of the message from this is you can do it anyway.
Absolutely.
There's the personal, the intimate can only come in soft, gentle strains. It comes through everything.
Mm-mm-mm. I also feel that me personally, as I was saying, I don't feel a good talker. I feel that sometimes I'm not capable to describe like so much in details, a lot of things. I feel that it's easier for me to express that in music, where I don't know, with sound. So sometimes like it's easier and it's more powerful. It's something that touches like a deeper part of your soul, your heart, and so I feel that I like more to express my personal stories a lot of times with sound other than words. I find it easier, at least.
We'll be back with the final part of my conversation with Giuseppe Paradiso, but here is another song. It's only the beginning, from his record, Parallel Dimensions. It's Only the Beginning, from the new record Parallel Dimensions by Giuseppe Paradiso and Meridian 71. And now here's the final part of my conversation with Giuseppe Paradiso. This record is out. What comes next? Are you getting to play some live shows? I know people are playing out more.
Absolutely. So we are launching the album live with two concerts coming up on April 22nd and April 23rd. So April 22nd, we are having an album release party in Cambridge, in Massachusetts, at a venue called the Lily Pad. And the Lily Pad is one of my favorite venues in town here. It's a music venue where people go exclusively to listen to music. And it's like you basically have so much music going on there every day of the week between usually 5 p.m. and 1 a.m. at night. And so we are launching our album at the Lily Pad on April 22nd at 8 p.m. And then the day after, we launch our album in Providence, Rhode Island. And we're playing at the Parlor. It's a jazz concert series called Jazz Revelation Series. And we play at 8 p.m. It's on a Saturday night at the Parlor in Providence.
This will air before then, so hopefully some listeners in the area will get down to those shows, although I bet they're going to sell out pretty fast.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, we are looking forward to the shows to launch our album, and then we're performing also in Maine, in Portland, at a venue called Blue Jazz. It's on June 4th at 8 p.m. again. So we do have a few shows around, and we are eventually booking a release tour in Europe at some point, especially in Italy and UK, because our label is from UK, Ubuntu Music, which I'm very happy to be working with them. Ubuntu Music is based in London, UK. And so we've been talking about eventually doing something in the UK and getting the opportunity to fly back home to Italy too and launch the album in Italy.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so glad that the record is coming and that you've done this work and that you got through the pandemic okay. I mean, most people did, some people didn't, and it's been hard. So this is wonderful, and I love the alchemy of what you do. I thought Metropolitan Sketches was wonderful, and you can really sit and listen to this, and like you said, you're a thinker. It takes you into your own realm of whatever's in there. So for folks who are listening to this music, they're going to get to go into their own parallel dimension, and it's a good thing.
I appreciate it so much, your words, Baruch. And I'm honored and I feel blessed. Anytime that people get inspired with my music, that's why we all put music out. It's not only about me or the players in the band. I really feel actually that we need to put more art out in the world. I really feel it's like what probably can save us.
It's absolutely a critical part of our healing. That's how I see it. And thank you so much. And thank you for talking with me again. It's lovely to talk with you and see you. And you have so much good energy. It's really good to see.
Oh, Baruch, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Giuseppe Paradiso, thank you so much for coming back to Paradigms to talk about your new record, Parallel Dimensions. Really enjoyed our conversation and the music. Well, I don't think the question has been answered about Parallel Dimensions. The question offers us some interesting perspective. Folks, if you'd like to know more about Giuseppe Paradiso, about Meridian 71, this record, their other album, the website is giuseppeparadiso.com. GIUSEPPE-PARADISO.com. Definitely check out Giuseppe Paradiso. And we hope you'll also check out the Paradigms archive at the Paradigms website, paradigms.life, and in iTunes and wherever else you find your podcasts. Also check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/paradigms. We appreciate our Patreon supporters. Paradigms is now on YouTube. Go to YouTube and do a search for Paradigms Podcast and enjoy some wonderful videos of our podcast programs created by Leah, Xylona. All right, well, I'm going to wrap up this episode with a bit more music from the new record Parallel Dimensions by Giuseppe Paradiso and Meridian 71. We're going to listen to the last track on the record. It's called Tony. Giuseppe was just telling us about it. And let's let the word for the week sort of be this idea of noticing parallel dimensions, noticing how we experience the same events differently. All right, good stuff. Baruch signing off for Paradigms. We'll see you next time with more inspiring people. Until then, be well. You've been listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life.